is it there this morning? Very simply, is it a good atmosphere? Is everybody excited? Or are you feeling like there's a little bit of explaining to do after events of the last 24 hours?
It is a good atmosphere, and yes, OK, we have had a big announcement, but I think it's worth bearing in mind that about 95% of what we were looking to before has been kept. I think it's enabled us to move on, really, and focus on other things, and I think as the PM and the Chancellor have both said, really, there was a distraction we maybe didn't need, so can focus on the tax cuts we've actually given to everybody else, a lot of the other good stuff we've done, like the energy price guarantee, and what we're going to do to grow our economy.
A distraction we didn't need. That's a very vague phrase. Can you help us understand what they mean?
Well, I think certainly with the 45p tax, people were talking about that. We were looking at it at promoting growth, and now, me as a Conservative, for example, I love the idea of a low state, people keeping more of the money in their pockets and so on, and of course we do want low taxes, but you've also got to bring people with you, you've got to do it at the right time, and we just felt that really it was, again, distracting people from actually all the other good stuff that we're actually doing that we want to be talking about at party conference as well. And the Chancellor said that he's listened to colleagues. Some of them had raised concerns about it, and he said, well, I'm going to change. So I think that's a sign of a good, pragmatic Chancellor who's prepared to listen to people and adapt when he needs to.
I think it's the sound of a Chancellor who will blow with the wind, and it certainly seems to be in opposition to Liz Truss's message last week, which was, I will make unpopular decisions whether you like it or not. And then suddenly, the press didn't like it, it seems. A lot of backbench MPs didn't like it. And so Kwasi Kwarteng changed his mind, saying he'd listened to people. But presumably he listened to people before he made the decision in the first place.
Yeah, I think also it's worth looking at some of the other things in the programme. Now, the national insurance cut, if you remember when national insurance was raised originally, we were criticised by the Labour Party for that, saying how terrible it is, taking money away from working families. We've reversed that and changed that, and now they're asking where do you get the money from, or they're complaining about that as well. So I think you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't in that sense. But we think it's about a bigger package. You remember it's over £100 billion, that energy price guarantee, the NI cut, the income tax cut, the stuff we've done on stamp duty, lots and lots of things there. And again, that's about 95% of the announcements that we made. So just for the sake of that 5%, really, we listen to colleagues, we want to focus on that instead. And again, really, I think we want a party that can come together. Prime Minister said about unity, that's a really, really big thing for us to do. I think after the turmoil we had before, we've had a difficult few weeks with what happened to Her Majesty. It's the party conference season, we want to be constructive.
Honestly, I cannot tell you how badly this U-turn is going down with the public this morning. I don't know how either Liz Truss or Kwasi Kwarteng and the likes of yourself are going to style it out for the next week, because all that's done now is handed the press a massive stick to continue to beat you with on the suggestion that any policy that's made can't be trusted, because if the public don't like it, you'll just change it again, and that means we don't know where we stand.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it is important to make those difficult decisions. I think with this on reflection, looking at it again, it's about bringing people with you. A lot of members of the public, a lot of my constituents had actually said to me they didn't feel it was the right time to bring in this cut. They're quite happy with the cut that we had across the board, but at the same time they thought maybe the top end it wasn't the right time to do it. Now, of course, there is some precedence for this. When we knocked it down from 50 to 45, we found that the tax intake actually went up. And what we do want to do is we want people to be paying their fair share of tax, because, of course, that's what's going to pay for the schools, that's what's going to pay for the hospitals. But just on this occasion, it probably was not the right time to bring it in at the moment, and that's why we want to look at the other stuff and the positives instead.
Well, you've done a very good job to try and defend them, but I think it is still going to be quite difficult. You've got Michael Gove and Grant Shapps plotting and backstabbing already. The public do not like that. What is the mood down there, up there, at the Tory party conference in terms of those assassins in the background and what they might be up to?
Well, I think it's very important to listen to colleagues' concerns, and of course, sometimes you're not going to have a policy that's popular with everybody. We do have that 80-seat majority, but there's never really been a case of people piling in saying that we don't want this, we don't want that. It's been a constructive discussion. People have listened to it, and I respect what colleagues have said. Sometimes we may disagree, but we want to move in the same direction. We want growth. We want a Conservative majority government again at the next election. The only way we're going to do that is if we unite as a party. We want a positive vibe here at conference, and that's what I'm feeling today.
So does Liz Truss continue to have your complete backing? If Michael Gove takes you to one side this week and says, come here, Brendan, I want a word with you, I'm cooking something up, are you going to tell him to jog on, or are you going to have a conversation with him?
Yeah, it's probably a little unfair on Michael. I'm not quite sure he's doing that, but I'm a huge supporter of the Prime Minister. I backed her from the first round of the leadership contest. Really love what she wants to do with the country. I like what her vision is for that. And she's someone who can work on those details. She's got that history of delivery. I think we need to give her the chance, and we need to give her the backing to actually do that. So certainly got my full support, and I'm looking forward to seeing that economy growing, Bev.